0586861003. Great to have your company. It's Friday. Get excited. Weekend is here, and imagine being able to have a job where your boss gives you unlimited annual leave. We'll talk about that next.
TSB, Talk Sport and Business. Talk 100.3.
Well, companies in the UAE and some big companies around the world have implemented an unlimited annual leave policy to help have high levels of employee retention and better productivity. Although the concept of unlimited vacation days in the UAE is rare, it is feasible, experts have said. To get more details about this, we're joined by the HR partner of choice for SME and startups, George Matthew, a recruitment and skill assessment expert. George, thank you for joining us on Talk 100.3. Great to have you. It's great to have you on. Yeah, it's great to have you on. Is this really possible, and is it able to be financially effective for employers to offer unlimited vacation days for employees?
I think it's absolutely possible. If you consider the fact that even today UAE is in the top 10 countries that offer, the number of PTOs that are offered, UAE is in the top 10. So it is absolutely possible, and there are some pros and cons to it. If I can elaborate on that. Yeah,
please. So obviously the pros are happy worker's a good worker. They've got this great perk, is it not?
Absolutely. So it is a good employee attraction and retention tool. That is the first perk. The second is, you would be surprised with this perk. In companies that offer unlimited paid time off or annual leave, usually employees take lesser number of days off.
Wow! So that is so strange. Is it just something like if in the human mindset, if you tell people don't touch the seat, wet paint, we all want to touch it. Is it got something to do with if something's forbidden, it's a little bit more tasty, and now that's no longer forbidden anymore, the incentive to use those days is not there.
That's a good analogy. So, as per a World at Work survey, they found out that in companies that have unlimited PTO, paid time off, usually 40% of the people do not utilize their full annual leave, versus companies that have clear guidelines where it's just 20% that lose their annual leave.
Wow, that's exceptional. But then again, the amount of flexibility we have now with people working from home, I know in a lot of bigger cities, London and Sydney and New York, companies and business councils are wanting to get people back into the office so that the business district and their restaurants and their coffee shops are thriving again, but employees are not having a bar of it. They want to stay home and not have to fight traffic and busy commuter trains, and know they can put on a load of washing during meetings and save time. But when you factor in that, is it really that attractive anymore to have unlimited annual leave if you can be able to work remotely and work from anywhere?
What you said is absolutely right, because during the pandemic, we realized that a lot of jobs that we didn't even believe could be done remotely can be done remotely. Take teaching, for example. Imagine how many millions of kids were studying at home while the teachers were teaching from home. So these are jobs that we took for granted, had to be face-to-face, that moved remote. So even in case of an unlimited annual leave, do you think you can actually switch off from work? For me, an annual leave or a paid time off is when you can actually switch off from work. But given how things have advanced during the pandemic, I don't think that's any more possible.
No, it's not.
Do you agree with me?
No, I agree with you, because one of the things that frustrated me when I first came to this country was how business runs through WhatsApp, which I'd always had as a personal messaging service. So you tend to find that whenever you go on holidays and you're messaging someone, you're still bombarded with all the group chats from work. So you're never quite switching off.
Absolutely. And think of it this way as well. The maximum number of inquiries that I see when it comes to questions about HR is, can I encash my leave? Which also shows that even today, when people have a limited number of days, which is 30 days as per the law, people are not taking their entire leave. They are looking for ways of either carrying it forward. Even after that, they don't use, because now it's a snowball effect and they have 45 days, for example, or encashing their leave, which a lot of companies do not allow. But I mean, they don't allow to create that proper work-life balance. But can you imagine that the maximum questions that HR gets is, can I encash my leave? So that shows you that even when it is limited now, it is not being utilized fully.
I just wonder how long this will continue. We're looking at many major economies around the world are looking to slow down. There's a looming recession coming in the next couple of years. So I wonder which way this will go, whether it will be even harder for companies to retain really good employees, or whether companies may look to rein some of these perks that come in. But when it comes down to the science of it, what are some of the other, in your experience, what are some of those other job perks that make people have a higher level of satisfaction in the workplace?
I think 73% of employees surveyed, I mean, maybe it's because of the influx of the Gen Z into the workforce, which we spoke about in our last show when we were talking about internship. 73% of people surveyed said work-life balance is the most important aspect when they look for any job as of today. I mean, can you imagine? It's not money. So it is the other benefits that make a difference. I mean, can you switch off from work once you're away from work? Can you, do you get support when it comes to childcare? I mean, that is a lot of mothers who want to get back into the workforce. Can you have a place where children can be taken care of at the workplace? These are benefits that add value to a company. I mean, so instead of an unlimited annual leave, what I would suggest is a discretionary leave. So, I mean, there is the ones that are required by the law, and then there are 2 or 3 days that are added that can be taken at the discretion of the employee. For example, you have an anniversary, you have a birthday, you have to go for a parent-teacher meeting. So there are those discretionary leaves that employers can provide that can be taken at the discretion of the employee. And I remember in my previous organization, we had this amazing concept where we had women's special leave. I mean, it was supposed to be called something else. We did a survey around it, and then we realized we have to call it women's special leave. But that was something that was offered every month, one day every month, to every woman employee in the organization. So I think those kind of things is what will add more value when it comes to attracting and retaining employees.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I think it goes back to the basics of managing people, is understanding that they're humans and work is just one part of their life, and you need to be sympathetic for the other parts of their life, not be feeling like, well, you work for us and therefore we own you, which a lot of companies do feel that way. And that was certainly, many companies felt that way in the 20th century. But in these modern times, I think that it becomes competitive. And I think that in the competition for employees, if one company offers these perks, then suddenly, all the other companies, if they want to retain their staff, certainly have to start offering those perks. But it's a fascinating one. Which sectors do you really believe tend to be the most experimental when it comes to offering employee perks?
I think it's more, the booming sectors, the IT sector, marketing, for example. That is where all this is possible. Now, imagine a salesperson. If you offer him an unlimited number of annual leave in a year, his sales will go down. Annual leave in a year, his sales will go down. Obviously, his performance will go down. So there will be another reason for him or her not to have a job, in spite of the fact that the company has a policy of unlimited annual leave. So I think it is more the new sectors that can adopt and are adopting. For example, Netflix is one of the companies that are offering unlimited annual leaves in the world. Airbnb is one of the companies. These are companies that can offer it. But in a manufacturing sector or in a sales environment, it is very tough to offer perks like this.
No, it is very tough. I know companies do want to be progressive. It comes back to a sales manager in radio said to me once, and he was quite progressive, where he said, I don't care if you lie on the beach all morning and get into work at 2:30. Your job is to make budget. I don't care how many days you take off or whatever. Your job is to make budget. And that was sort of his mindset, which was progressive at the time, where it's like, you want to take a day off or not come in or do something, great. Doesn't bother me as long as at the end of the month you've brought the money in. And I think that's a very key aspect when it comes down to it. But ultimately, yeah, I think that a happy worker is a good worker. We have a saying here in radio, which is what goes on in the corridors comes out the speakers. And if your attitude's contagious and it's positive and it's going around, then there's a great energy, and that flows in through the microphone and comes out during the speakers. And
that's absolutely true. I was recently telling someone when they told us that one of the employee insight reports said that HR had the lowest employee engagement scores. I said, that's the last company I would want to work with. So I totally understand what you're saying. So, one pro, as I said, companies that have unlimited day offs are usually where places don't utilize the entire number of days. The second pro, obviously, is that there is no need of paying off. So as I said, one of the biggest questions is, can I encash my annual leave? But when it is unlimited, there is no need to pay off anything, right? Yeah. It's not an accrued annual leave. And we already established it's an amazing talent attraction and retention mechanism. But the most happiest people, if we do this, is the HR people, because there is no need to actually wonder, is it annual leave, is it sick leave, is it, so there is no need because it's unlimited leave. So there is, obviously you have to go through the approval process and things like that, but then the number of controls reduces, so it's easy to implement. So I think HR would be the happiest function if something like this comes into place.
Yeah, I might recommend it to our HR department. Every radio station I've worked at, George, I've got to have a meeting with about 9 people every time you want to have annual leave, because you've got to find a replacement and who can work and what can do, because it's one of those shift-based jobs that have rostering, so and you can't work remotely. So we're a vocation that it's not possible. But I think that when you scratch the surface and say to an owner or present to a board unlimited annual leave, but it might serve us better in the long run because we never have to pay people out their annual leave, because quite often if they stay with us, we've still got to financially financially forecast that if that person leaves, we've got to give them a month's wages as well, because they've got 4 weeks annual leave, and then it can be a very, very expensive exercise. So I think that's a great insight. George, it's always good to get your insights and hear from your experience. It's been a good chat as always. Thanks for joining us on Talk 100.3. Yeah, there is George Matthew, the recruitment and skill assessment expert. He's one of the HR partners of choice for many startups around the UAE. And would you work for a company that had unlimited vacation days? Is something would attract to you, but you would know that you don't get your holidays paid out when you leave. So there's even more incentive for better work-life balance. 058686